Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin, this is my co-host Teddy, and today we're going to be doing another smartphone review courtesy of Banggood.com. So we're going to be checking out the Umi Roam X, which is a 5.5 inch value for money smartphone coming in with a price tag of $66 US. I'm not kidding you, $66 US. That is absolutely crazy. That's shipped as well, you know, can you believe it? So yeah, let's check it out and see if it's any good then. So we'll first start with the design. So it looks absolutely fantastic for a budget phone. It is full metal size, it looks great, it feels great in the hand. It has a very sort of like Samsung Galaxy S7 look to it, which, you know, I quite like. It's, yeah, really nice dimensions. It's a bit slippery in the hand though, so you might want to think about, you know, trying to find a skin for this or putting a case on it or something like that if possible. Or else it might, you know, slip out of your pocket. However, it's definitely not the worst one I've used in terms of slipperiness. It's only 7.9 millimeters thick, so nice and thin, and the buttons are about halfway up on the side, so that's quite a good position for people with smaller hands than what I have. However, I will say that the buttons themselves have sort of like the loosest tolerances I've ever felt. They just feel super loose, the volume and the power button, so that is something that reminds you quite quickly that this is a bit more of a budget phone, well, especially, you know, this is like an ultra budget phone. It's also got capacitive buttons on the bottom, like standard. Those don't light up, but they do work pretty well, so that's fine. And down the bottom, it has just your micro USB for charging and data transfer, and up top, it has just a standard 3.5 millimeter jack for your audio. So let's move on now and talk about that display then. So it's a 5.5 inch 720p LTPS display that does honestly a pretty decent job for something of this price. Its color reproduction is decent, might be a little bit washed out for some people depending on how you're looking at it. However, the brightness and contrast are very good there, so I was completely happy with that. There is quite a bit of light bleed from the bottom of the screen, which you see sometimes when you're loading up certain applications and games, but it's not really too noticeable in normal use. Watching movies or playing games look just fine on it. 720p is kind of like an older standard now. Most phones are 1080p and a lot of the high-end ones are 1440p, but it will still get you by just fine. And the only other thing to mention was that it's slightly inaccurate at times. Now, I don't know what exactly it was about the phone that did this, but oftentimes when I would be typing on the keyboard, I would mistype and, you know, things like that. Not all the time, but every so often. So that was something I needed to kind of learn to be very precise with my inputs on the phone. So specs-wise, you can definitely see where they've made the cuts with this phone. So CPU-wise, it's coming with the MediaTek MT6580 quad-core, which is okay, I suppose. The GPU is a similar fare, it's the Mali 400. RAM-wise, it's coming with 1GB, which is kind of a little low for these days, but it'll still be enough to get you by for most things. Storage-wise, it's coming with 8GB, which is again very low these days. However, it does have a micro SD slot, so you can expand that if you want to, so that's really good. It has a removable back and a removable battery, and it also has dual SIM slots, which I really quite like. It's coming with 3G, but no 4G, and weight-wise, it's coming in at 177 grams, so that's, you know, just fine. That should be pretty good. Now, performance-wise, so performance in the OS is about average. It seems to get around pretty good. You might notice a little bit of lag here and there, but for the most part, it's you know, pretty good. It's pretty snappy. With games, that does change quite a bit. Some games won't even load up because it'll say that it's under specification. You know, the specifications are too low to run this specific game. Not all games, but some of the games I tried out with it. And depending on what game you do run, you might see a little bit of lag here and there, but not all games. It still does a decent job for a lot of the more casual ones you'll find on the Google Play Store, so that's quite cool. Otherwise, for casual stuff like browsing web, looking at Reddit, reading news stories, all that sort of thing, it's going to do just fine. So it should get you by for all your casual stuff. No worries at all. So let's talk about the speakers then and the call quality and mic quality. So the speaker quality is really bad. There is just so much distortion. But I mean, what do you expect with a phone of this price? It's kind of ear piercing, so if you're going to be listening to music with these guys, you 100% need some earbuds or something like that, because yeah, it's not a very good experience otherwise. However, the call quality is absolutely fine. I have no issues with it, except when you go on speakerphone. For some reason, it doesn't go that loud. Even if you max it out, it's quite quiet on speaker. So that was the only thing I really noticed. And as far as the mic quality goes, it's absolutely fine. People are going to be able to understand you very easily. You're very clear. So it does very good in that aspect also. So software-wise, it's coming with Android 5.1, and it's kind of close to the pure Android experience. So it's kind of close to a Google phone like that. So I really liked that. There was no, huge amount of bloatware or any stuff like that on it. They did add in a few things themselves, like some of the smart gesture stuff and other things like that, which was quite cool, but they kind of kept going off in my pocket for some reason, so I just stopped using them. But yeah, everything's really easy, everything's really straightforward. It's just like using a Google phone, so I really like that. I wouldn't expect a software update for it though. You're probably going to be sitting on 5.1 for the foreseeable future, so don't buy this expecting to get really quick software updates. You're probably going to be on 5.1 for quite a while, but that's just fine, and I didn't notice any major bugs or anything like that with it. However, I would replace the stock keyboard because it's not really good for people who are going to be typing in English, I would say. Now let's talk about the camera. So the Sony IMX179 8 megapixel rear camera is pretty good. It comes with a dual LED flash. For something of this price, it's definitely not going to blow anyone away. You're not going to take a picture and everyone's going to go, wow, did you take that on a phone? They're obviously going to know it's from a phone. However, it's, it does pretty good. It opens up somewhat fast. The shutter speed is a little bit on the slow side, if I'm totally honest. The autofocus and ISO adjustment is super, super aggressive. So that's something else to take into consideration when you're trying to manually, set the focus onto something. However, it takes good enough pictures to get you by. Just make sure they're in good light, because in low light conditions, it really, really starts to suffer. But, it will still be enough to get you by in, a nice day. If it's really sunny outside, you should be able to get, somewhat nice pictures there. It can take full HD video, but again, I would only say it's only good enough to get you by. And it has a front-facing 2 megapixel selfie camera, and that should be okay for taking selfies, and just make sure you're in good light, because in low light it does tend to look a little bit bad. So that's the main thing I would say with the cameras when it comes to this phone, is make sure you're in really good light conditions when you're taking the pictures, otherwise they're not going to be coming out that good. Now, battery life. So a lot of people have concerns about the battery life of this particular phone because it's only coming with a 2500 milliamp hour battery, which is a bit on the small side for something of this screen size. However, honestly, I think the battery life was pretty good for the most part. It's going to depend on what type of user you are. So I'm quite a sort of mild, casual user. So for me, it was lasting, 2 days just fine. The standby times are absolutely fantastic. However, the screen on times, it does tend to chug the battery a bit more. So I would say if you're a power user, you're probably going to be able to get a full day out of it, but definitely no more than a day. You'll just get one solid day. But yeah, for the mild users like me that are going to be leaving it on standby a lot of the time, it's going to be able to do you 2 days just fine. So honestly, if you're scared about the battery, I wouldn't really worry about it too much. Just maybe bring the brightness down a little bit and make sure you have the intelligent power saving on when it's on standby. And then it should be able to get you by for a full day, no worries at all. So that brings us now to the conclusion. So what's good about it and what's bad about it? So basically, the easiest way for me to sum up this phone is honestly imagine a lower spec metal Samsung Galaxy Note 2. That's what it reminds me of the most, because the Note 2 also had a 720p display. But yeah, it's a pretty slick design. It looks really nice. When you pull this out, people are really going to notice it, so that's really good. There's lowering specs to it, which is going to impact you if you're playing a lot of games. However, if you're just doing casual stuff, it's still going to be enough to get you by for everything you need to use. The speakers are absolutely horrible, so you're definitely going to be needing to use headphones with this, that's for sure. The camera's just average for, you know, how much you're paying for this. If you're in good light, it's going to be, you know, decent. However, if you're in low light, it's going to be not very good at all. There's going to be a lot of noise, and you're probably not going to be very happy with it. So just make sure you're mainly shooting outside, or if you're indoors, make sure you got lots of good lighting around. The battery life was also pretty decent. If you're a mild user, if you're a power user, it's going to get you about a day. But, you know, definitely no more than that. You're going to have to be charging this guy every single night. And it's all coming for the price of $66 US over on Banggood.com, which I think is absolutely insane. It's definitely no high-end phone. It's not even sort of like a medium-end phone. However, for the price, you are getting one hell of like a backup phone if you want, or if you're someone that breaks your phone all the time, you know, you could buy like 10 of these for the same price as a single flagship phone, which gives you an idea of, you know, just how good the value for money is when it comes to this phone. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it for someone out there that's looking to say, get their kid their first smartphone. You're worried that they might break it or something like that, then have a look at one of these. If you're someone that is just in between phones right now and you just want something to get you by, or you're wanting a backup, then definitely take a look at the Umi Romax, because this is an amazing phone for the price, and when you take price aside, it still does an actually pretty decent job, good enough to get, you know, the majority of users by for everything they need a smartphone for. Now, I thank you all for watching this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already, and like the video. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.